I step into the grand ballroom of the Evergreen Resort and immediately wish I hadn't come. Crystal chandeliers drip light across polished marble floors, and wealth hums through the air in hushed tones of entitlement. Every laugh sounds practiced. Every smile feels rehearsed. Andrew's hand settles at the small of my back, grounding me with familiar pressure. "Breathe," he murmurs. His surgeon's eyes scan the room with calm precision. "We earned our place here." Beside us, Noah tugs angrily at his bow tie, already exhausted by adult expectations. "Mom," he whispers, "this thing is trying to choke me." I kneel, adjusting the crooked fabric and smiling softly. "Just a little longer, buddy. Remember our deal, good behavior now, swimming pool after." The crowd shifts. And then my heart stops. A familiar profile slices through the noise like a blade. The tilt of her head. The way she leans forward when she laughs. I haven't seen that gesture in 11 years, but my body remembers it instantly. The bride turns. Champagne glass raised. Our eyes lock across the room. "Sophia. My sister." The champagne flute trembles slightly in my hand, the only outward sign of the earthquake ripping through my chest. I hadn't recognized the name Matthew Brooks on the invitation. I hadn't made the connection. I'd assumed Sophia was still using our family name, Carter. Her gasp cuts through the ballroom. Conversations falter. Heads turn. Music continues, but a bubble of silence stretches between us. Behind her, Helen's face drains of color before flushing crimson. Richard moves instinctively toward Sophia, his broad shoulders forming a shield between us, just like he always did. "What are you doing here?" my mother hisses, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. For one heartbeat, the old shame rises. I'm 21 again, standing in the rain with a suitcase, homeless and shaking. Andrew steps forward, voice calm but unyielding. "My wife is a guest. She's the CEO of Medcor. We were personally invited by the groom." The name ripples outward. Medcor. Whispers follow. Recognition sparks in professional eyes. "CEO," a woman in burgundy murmurs. "That's Emily Carter." The memory slams into me, rain soaking through my jacket, Richard's voice echoing like a verdict. "If you're too ungrateful to help at the clinic, don't come back." The door slamming shut. Final. But this isn't that girl. I stand straighter now, wrapped in tailored silk and certainty. The scared daughter is gone. In her place stands a woman who built something from nothing. Dr. Matthew Brooks approaches, confusion creasing his brow. "You know the CEO of Medcor?" he asks my parents, then turns to me. "We've been trying to partner with them for months. Your patient monitoring system is revolutionizing post-surgical care." Sophia attempts a smile. It falters. My parents exchange glances sharp with panic. I could expose 11 years of lies. Tell him how they said I failed out of college. How my tuition money funded Sophia's life. The power is finally mine. Instead, I simply say, "Hello, Sophia. Congratulations." The simplicity hits harder than shouting. Sophia flinches. Andrew's hand returns to my back, "Stay or go." Noah tugs my hand, innocent and curious. "Mom, is that lady in the white dress your friend?" Matthew's gaze sharpens. "Grace," he stops himself. "You said your sister was," the unfinished sentence hangs heavy. For the first time in my life, I watch my sister struggle for words. And I realize, I'm no longer afraid. The tension between Sophia, her new husband Dr. Matthew Brooks, and my parents thickens like fog. I watch quietly, champagne flute untouched, as they maneuver their way through introductions and polite smiles. Every laugh Sophia offers is carefully measured, the kind I recognize from childhood, her way of masking unease. Matthew leans slightly toward her, his posture protective, but his eyes flicking toward me with curiosity and suspicion. He's sharp, too sharp to not notice the subtle discrepancy in Sophia's story. His surgical precision seems to extend beyond the operating room into social observation, assessing every micro-expression like a patient's vitals. I stay calm. I've learned that calmness is power. I've learned that silence can wield more influence than accusation. A few guests drift past, murmuring greetings. I catch snippets of conversation, doctors recognizing Medcore, murmuring about Emily Carter's recent presentation at the National Medical Technology Summit. The same summit where Andrew had been the keynote speaker. A ripple spreads, and suddenly the room is conscious of my presence. Whispers travel like waves through the gathered crowd, and I feel the shift. Sophia's composure wavers, the first cracks showing. She smiles too brightly when she introduces herself to a group of hospital administrators. I see the slight hesitation in her voice, the way she overemphasizes points she thinks she knows. My parents hover near her, shoulders stiff, whispering to each other frantically, like sentinels protecting a fragile fortress. Noah, I say softly, lowering myself to his level, let's wait a minute before swimming, okay? He pouts but nods, distracted by a waiter passing with a tray of hors d'oeuvres. I straighten, Andrew's hand returning to the small of my back. He offers a reassuring squeeze. From across the room, I notice Matthew whispering to Sophia, the intensity of his gaze sharpening. His questioning, probing. Something is clearly unraveling behind the carefully constructed veil Sophia and my parents have presented. Her responses are clipped, polite, but defensive. I remember the nights of struggle, the dorm room lamps burning late into the night, textbooks sprawled across the floor, exhaustion pressing on my eyelids. Mornings spent at the coffee shop, evenings at the hospital reception desk, weekends answering calls at a center I could barely stand. Every penny earned went to tuition, textbooks, survival. No help from family. None. Just grit and determination. I see it reflected in Andrew's eyes, a silent recognition of what perseverance looks like. He doesn't need me to explain, it's obvious. Matthew finally steps slightly away from Sophia, attention drawn elsewhere for a moment. I catch the subtle shift. His analytical mind is recalculating, reassessing everything he thought he knew about the woman beside him, and by extension, the family. Emily Carter, a woman in a sharp pantsuit approaches, extending her hand. Your presentation last month at the summit was exceptional. Medcore's patient monitoring system is changing post-surgical care protocols nationwide. We'd love to discuss further implementation. I smile, keeping composure. Andrew's presence at my side, quiet and steady, provides a sense of security. The conversation unfolds naturally, my expertise undeniable. Matthew listens, intrigued, occasionally asking pointed questions, his curiosity professional, his judgment still forming. Sophia hovers nearby, flustered, trying to interject, but held at bay by Matthew's protective stance. I notice my parents' faces, as the network around me begins to recognize my achievements. Richard's jaw tightens. Helen's hands flutter nervously, like a conductor unable to control the orchestra of chaos around her. They made me invisible once, and now I am visible, undeniable, competent, formidable. Noah tugs my hand again. Mom, is that lady really your sister? I glance down at him, kneeling to meet his eyes. Yes, buddy. She's my sister, but family doesn't always mean the same thing, right? He nods solemnly, accepting the complexity of the world around him. Andrew gives a subtle nod of approval. Sophia shifts closer to Matthew, desperation etched into her movements. She's aware of the scrutiny, aware of the unraveling, aware that the truth she's hidden for years might finally surface. Every gesture she makes now is a careful negotiation with reality. I allow myself a quiet smile. I am no longer the desperate girl who cried in the rain outside the house that was supposed to be mine. I am Emily Carter, creator, innovator, survivor. And tonight, I am not here to fight. I am here to exist. A waiter passes by, refilling Andrew's glass. Matthew, distracted by my presence, watches the interaction closely. Every subtle glance, every careful step I take, communicates more than words ever could. Sophia's grip on Matthew's arm tightens, fear disguised as intimacy. I sip my champagne slowly, savoring the quiet power of observation. The room is a stage, my parents and sister the actors, but I am the one holding the script. And for the first time in 11 years, the story is mine to control. The night unfolds with a slow, deliberate rhythm. Guests drift between conversations, champagne glasses clinking lightly, unaware of the quiet tension threading through the room. I stay beside Andrew, letting him navigate small talk while I observe. Every glance Sophia casts my way is calculated, controlled, but the underlying panic is impossible to mask completely. Matthew has positioned himself between her and the crowd, yet his eyes keep returning to me, analytical and perceptive. He is weighing, measuring, noticing details I know only someone with surgical precision could detect. His attention is not just on Sophia, but on the subtle cracks forming in the carefully constructed facade my parents and sister maintain. I catch snippets of conversation, a doctor discussing surgical outcomes, an administrator commenting on Medcore's recent expansion. Each acknowledgement of my work is a small victory, a reminder that the life I've built is real, measurable, undeniable. Sophia flinches slightly every time someone mentions Medcore, her rehearsed smile faltering for a fraction of a second. Noah tugs at my hand again. "Mom, why is she looking at you like that?" I kneel to his level, smiling softly. "She's just curious, buddy. Some people notice things right away." He nods thoughtfully, absorbing the complexity in a way only children can, free of judgment, just understanding. Andrew rests a hand lightly on my back, steadying, supportive, a silent anchor in the midst of emotional turbulence. Across the room, my parents exchange panicked glances. Richard's jaw is tight. Helen's hands flutter as she gestures toward Sophia, whispering urgencies I can almost hear despite the crowd. They are desperate, aware that the image they've carefully crafted for years is beginning to crumble. Sophia moves closer to Matthew, her posture defensive. The careful facade of confidence she's maintained for over a decade is fraying. Her lips press together when she answers questions, her words slightly clipped, over-precise, too polished. She knows Matthew is noticing, that the truth is threading its way through the conversations, and she is powerless to stop it. I allow myself a quiet satisfaction. 11 years of erasure, of being dismissed and hidden, can't erase the skill, determination, and resilience I've honed. I am Emily Carter, the woman who built Medcore from an idea sketched on apartment notebooks, the woman who transformed post-surgical monitoring in hospitals across the country. And tonight, even if no one else knows every detail, it is undeniable. Matthew's gaze shifts briefly, assessing me not as an outsider, but as a professional, someone whose achievements and intellect command respect. Sophia notices and stiffens. For the first time, she's acutely aware of the real comparisons, the accomplishments and grit she tried to overshadow for so long. Noah tugs again. "Mom, can we get cake soon?" I chuckle softly, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. In just a minute, sweetie. We are almost done here. Meanwhile, the whispers in the room grow louder, more pointed. Doctors, administrators, colleagues, they are connecting names, piecing together stories, and slowly realizing that Emily Carter's presence is not incidental. Recognition spreads through subtle nods, murmured acknowledgments. My parents' panic heightens, visible even beneath their meticulously chosen attire. I notice Sophia's hands tremble slightly as she tries to maintain composure while conversing with a group of hospital administrators. Her controlled smile flickers as a professional question about patient monitoring is posed, and she hesitates, grasping at knowledge she doesn't fully possess. Matthew notices too, his protective arm still around her, yet his analytical mind running through every observation. I glance down at Noah. Let's find a quiet corner for cake soon, okay? He nods eagerly, eyes bright. Andrew squeezes my hand, a silent acknowledgement of our small victory. Not the confrontation, not the drama, but the quiet reclamation of presence, dignity, and truth. Sophia attempts to move closer to Matthew again, but I notice her gestures are no longer smooth, natural. They are defensive, protective. Panic ripples through subtle micro-expressions, hesitation, tightened jaw, a slight narrowing of the eyes. Every person in the room who knows the truth can now see it, even if unspoken. I take a deliberate sip of my champagne, letting the moment sink in. I am not here to confront, not to yell, not to accuse. I am here to exist, to witness, to reclaim the narrative that was stolen from me. The power lies not in exposing, but in simply being, calmly and undeniably. A server passes by, offering hors d'oeuvres. Matthew and Sophia are momentarily distracted. I notice my parents leaning closer to her, their voices hurried, insistent. But the threads of credibility have already slipped beyond their grasp. Recognition of my achievements, my perseverance, is woven into the fabric of the room now, permanent and undeniable. Noah tugs once more, impatient but curious. Mom, are we leaving soon? I kneel, brushing his hair back. Yes, buddy. Pool time is waiting. Michael joins us, hand on my back, steady and protective. The moment is ours. Calm, composed, complete. I glance back toward Sophia and Matthew, questions linger in their expressions, truths unspoken but recognized. And with that, we prepare to leave. No drama, no tearful confrontation. Just quiet dignity, the triumph of having survived and built a life worth respecting. The ballroom, once a place of fear and uncertainty, now bears witness to the presence of a woman unbroken, a mother proud, and a family of 3 walking away whole. We cross the marble floors of the ballroom slowly, deliberately. Guests murmur behind us, but their words are no longer knives. They are faint echoes in a space I now occupy with quiet authority. Noah's small hand is securely in mine, his energy bubbling despite the tension around us. Michael keeps a steadying hand at my back, an anchor of reassurance as we move toward the elevators. The air smells faintly of polished wooden flowers, a reminder of the ceremony that has unfolded without our participation. I take a slow breath, letting it fill me with a sense of ownership over this moment. I am not running. I am not hiding. I am present, visible and undeniable. For 11 years, I was invisible. Tonight, that invisibility dissolves like mist in sunlight. Noah chats happily about the pool, oblivious to the storm of whispers and sideways glances trailing behind us. Mom, can we race to the slides? He asks, eyes wide with excitement. I kneel to his level, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. In a minute, buddy. Let's get to the elevator first. Michael smiles faintly at me, his eyes reflecting a mixture of pride and admiration. "You handled that perfectly," he murmurs, "just enough for my ears." His calm presence reminds me how far we've come, not just from the night of my humiliation years ago, but from the constant weight of expectation my parents tried to heap upon me. Behind us, Sophia's face tightens with frustration. I catch a glimpse of Matthew, his analytical mind clearly parsing every subtle shift in demeanor. His protective arm remains around her, yet even he cannot shield her from the unspoken truth hanging over the room. For the first time in years, the girl who hid behind lies is exposed to someone who sees clearly. We reach the elevators. Noah presses the button with a dramatic punch, counting down with childlike determination. Up. Up. Michael chuckles. "You're not in charge of the elevator, kiddo, but I like the enthusiasm." As the doors slide open, the gleaming metal reflects our image back at us. 3 silhouettes, mother, father, and son. Strong. Connected. Complete. The reflection is more than physical, it is symbolic. The life we've built is ours, and nothing anyone else says or does can diminish it. Sophia's parents, Richard and Helen, hover near the crowd, their expressions a mixture of shock, frustration, and disbelief. The power they once held over my narrative has evaporated. No one in this room can deny what they've witnessed. Emily Carter exists, has achieved, and thrives. 11 years of erasure have yielded only a stronger, more capable woman. Matthew follows closely, a silent sentinel beside Sophia. She keeps glancing over her shoulder, anxiety flickering in her eyes. He notices, but the expression on his face is unreadable, neutral, yet unwavering in focus. For the first time, I realize that the veil of perfection Sophia maintained for years is cracking, not in anger, but in vulnerability. Noah leans against me, tugging gently at my hand. "Mom, can we get there now? I want to see the water." I laugh softly. "Yes, sweetie. Just a little longer." The elevator dings, doors opening like a portal into our private world, away from judgment, away from whispers. Michael steps in first, guiding us with professional ease, then I follow, Noah skipping happily between us. As the doors close, the muffled sounds of the ballroom fade. For the first time in a long while, I feel the luxury of space. Space to breathe. Space to exist without scrutiny. Space where my past, my accomplishments, and my resilience coexist harmoniously. I reach into my bag and pull out the small cream envelope containing Medcore stock certificates. It isn't fortune-changing, but it is symbolic, a tangible reminder that I have created value, built credibility, and seized control of my narrative. A silent statement to anyone who doubted me, a marker of self-respect and accomplishment. Michael glances at the envelope, a small smile touching his lips. "Ready?" I nod. "Almost." Noah presses against the elevator wall, counting floors with childlike excitement. 1, 2, 3. The ascent is slow, deliberate, like a meditation. Each floor brings us farther from the past, farther from the expectations and manipulations of those who thought they could define me. Each floor strengthens the quiet realization, I am free. My life is mine. When the doors open to the pool deck, sunlight floods the space. The smell of chlorine and fresh air greets us. The water glimmers, inviting, a reminder of joy untainted by manipulation or shame. Noah runs ahead, laughter ringing out like a bell of liberation. I watch him, heart swelling. This is what matters. Not the whispers, not the lies, not the calculated social maneuvering my family has orchestrated for years. But this, freedom, integrity, and family that truly supports me. Michael joins me at the edge of the pool, his hand finding mine, anchoring me in the present. "We did it," he says softly. "Yes," I reply, letting the sunlight wash over me. "We did." From the balcony above, I catch a final glimpse of Sophia and Matthew. Their carefully constructed world shows cracks, small but undeniable. I feel no triumph in this observation, only quiet acknowledgement. Time will reveal the rest. For now, I turn fully toward my son, my husband, our life. Noah dives into the pool with a splash, laughter erupting into the warm afternoon air. I step closer to Michael, letting the current of calm and victory settle over me. For 11 years, I was invisible. Tonight, I am seen, unshaken, whole. And as the sun reflects off the water, illuminating our path forward, I realize this is only the beginning. The pool water ripples as Noah splashes joyfully, completely unbothered by the undercurrents of tension we left behind in the ballroom. I watch him, heart swelling with a mixture of relief and pride. He doesn't care about past injustices or the fragile egos of our relatives. He only knows fun, love, and family. It's a clarity adults rarely achieve, and for a moment, I envy his simplicity. Michael settles beside me on a lounge chair, his hand brushing against mine, grounding me. "You handled that wedding with more grace than I could have imagined," he says quietly. There's no condescension in his tone, only a recognition of how far I've come. "You didn't let them define you tonight." I smile, the weight in my chest finally easing. "It wasn't about them," I reply. "It was about me reclaiming my space. My life. My son. My career. Everything they tried to erase." Noah's laughter carries across the pool area. I glance down and see him floating on his back, arms wide, eyes closed to the sun, completely free. It's a reminder of what truly matters, not the whispers of judgment, the envy of my sister, or the manipulation of our parents. This is real life, warm, bright, and ours. Michael leans closer. "You know, they'll talk. There will be rumors." I nod, accepting that as inevitable. "Let them. Their stories can't touch me anymore. I'm not running, I'm not hiding. And the more they try to control the narrative, the less power they have." A soft splash draws my attention to the far end of the pool. Sophia has appeared, flanked by Matthew. They are clearly observing, lingering on the periphery. Sophia's posture is tight, calculated, but I can see the strain in her smile, the subtle tension around her eyes. She's trying to reclaim her narrative, but her carefully constructed facade is starting to crumble. Matthew, always the composed professional, doesn't look worried. He's analyzing, calculating, measuring the ripple effects of my presence tonight. His gaze, normally so detached, flicks toward me briefly. There's recognition there, of accomplishment, of resilience. Perhaps even admiration, though I don't let myself linger on it. I shift my focus back to Noah, watching him kick water into the sunlight. "Ready for your next race, buddy?" I ask, ruffling his hair. "Yes," he shouts, scrambling to the edge of the pool, tiny legs pumping. Michael helps him into position, crouching beside him. "On my count," he says. 3, 2, 1, go. Noah launches into the water with a perfect little dive, splashing triumphantly. I laugh, clapping along with him, and feel the tension in my shoulders finally release. For the first time tonight, I feel completely untethered from the ghosts of the past. Minutes later, I notice Daniel standing at the pool's edge, watching quietly. He has left Sophia and Matthew behind, drawn by curiosity, or perhaps respect. His gaze meets mine briefly, and I give a subtle nod, acknowledging the unspoken understanding between us, professional integrity, the pursuit of truth, and recognition of my accomplishments. Michael nudges me gently. Want to say hello? I hesitate for only a second. Yes. But on my terms, I reply. We approach Daniel together, and he steps forward with that same polite, professional posture he's maintained throughout the night. Amber, he says softly, his tone carrying both curiosity and admiration. Daniel, I reply, extending a hand that he shakes firmly, professionally, yet with a warmth that feels genuine. Glad you could make it. I wanted to see for myself, he says, eyes briefly flicking toward Sophia. And now I understand why my colleagues spoke so highly of Medcore. I let the compliment land. It's validation I earned through years of effort, sweat, and sacrifice, effort that Sophia and our parents never acknowledged. It's been a long journey, I say simply, keeping my tone calm, unprovoked. But worth every step. Daniel nods, respect evident in his expression. He glances at Noah, who waves enthusiastically, and smiles. Family first, he says softly, acknowledging the truth without prying. I glance back toward Sophia and Matthew. They've retreated slightly, observing from a distance. Her face is carefully composed, but I see the subtle tremor in her hands, the anxiety of a life built on deception facing exposure. I feel no malice, only a quiet satisfaction that truth and hard work are finally visible. Michael's hand finds mine again, anchoring me. Time to let them stew, he murmurs. We've got our world now. I nod, looking down at Noah floating carefree in the pool. Our world, I repeat, savoring the phrase. It's the life we've built, secure, loving, independent. No one else gets to define it, no one else can take it away. As the sun dips lower, the reflection of the water dances across the lounge, shimmering light across our faces. I feel the weight of the past lifting, the certainty of our accomplishments grounding me. Tonight, we've claimed victory, not over others, but over our own fears and doubts. And as Noah splashes once more, Michael and I exchanging a quiet glance of understanding, I realize that this is more than a celebration. It's a declaration, I am here. I am enough. And my life, built from nothing, is unstoppable. The elevator hums softly as Michael, Noah, and I ride up to our apartment. Noah is still buzzing with excitement from pool time, chattering about cannonballs and races, his little voice filling the space with life. I glance at Michael, who's smiling softly, rubbing the back of his neck as if the day's chaos never touched him. You handled tonight perfectly, he says quietly. I didn't think you could stay so composed around them. I shrug, trying to look casual, but the faint smile betrays the satisfaction simmering inside me. It's taken years to get here, I reply. Years of proving to myself I could do it, that I could be more than the story they wrote for me. Tonight was just validation. Noah leans against my leg, yawning, his little body finally succumbing to exhaustion. Mom, can we read before bed? He asks, eyes already heavy with sleep. Of course, buddy, I whisper, lifting him in my arms. The warmth of his small body against mine feels grounding, reminding me of what truly matters. Not weddings, not status, not approval. Family. The life we've built. Once Noah is tucked into bed, Michael and I sit in the living room, the city lights casting a gentle glow across the polished floors. He pours 2 glasses of wine, handing me one. You ever think about confronting them? He asks quietly, swirling the red liquid in his glass. About saying exactly what you feel. I shake my head, sipping slowly. Confrontation doesn't always equal closure, I reply. Sometimes the victory is in walking away, letting them sit in the truth without me. Letting the facts speak louder than words ever could. If I face them, I risk giving them power again. And I refuse to give them that. Michael leans back, nodding, his eyes thoughtful. You've come a long way from the girl they tried to erase. I see it in the way Noah looks at you, in the respect you command in your field. You're untouchable in a sense they'll never understand. I chuckle softly. Untouchable. I like that. But even as I say it, a memory flashes unbidden, the rain-soaked night I left home, the suitcase dragging behind me, the sense of utter abandonment. It was terrifying then. But tonight, after the wedding, I realized that fear made me strong. It forced me to fight, to build, to innovate. Without it, Medcore would never exist. My phone buzzes on the coffee table. A text from Meredith, my assistant. Dr. Brooks sent an email requesting a meeting next week regarding Medcore's implementation in new hospitals. I glance at Michael, who raises an eyebrow. Sounds like the professional bridge wasn't burned after all, he says with a smirk. Not burned, I correct him, a small smile tugging at my lips. More like strategically rebuilt. On my terms. The thought of Daniel Brooks intrigues me. Despite the chaos at Grace's wedding, he approached with professionalism and genuine curiosity. There's potential here, not just for Medcore, but for relationships built on respect rather than deceit. Perhaps, in a strange way, the wedding became a turning point for him too. He saw the truth in action. I set my glass down, letting the warmth of the wine settle into my chest. You know, I say quietly, tonight could have gone very differently. I could have let them humiliate me, drag me back into their web of lies. But I didn't. And that feels liberating. Michael nods, his hand brushing against mine. You didn't just survive tonight. You thrived. I let out a deep breath, feeling the weight of the day release from my shoulders. Outside, the city hums on, indifferent to personal victories and familial betrayals. But inside our apartment, the world feels right, solid, and safe. This is home. This is life built on truth, effort, and love. Noah's voice calls from the hallway. Mom? Can we read now? I laugh, standing and stretching. Yes, yes. Coming, buddy. I scoop him up again, feeling his warmth and trust. These are the moments I fought for, the moments that remind me why every hardship, every rejection, every ounce of struggle mattered. As I settle beside him with the book, I glance at Michael, who watches us quietly. I see pride in his eyes, admiration, and an unspoken acknowledgement that this family, this life, is a victory far greater than any boardroom triumph. Noah leans against me, eyes drooping as I read the story aloud. My voice is calm, steady, confident. I let the words flow, letting the past fade into the shadows. Tonight, the only voices that matter are ours, the laughter, the love, the life we've built. And as the city lights flicker beyond the window, I know with certainty that nothing can take this from me. No lies, no deceit, no manipulations from the past. We are complete. We are whole. And for the first time in a long time, I feel truly free. Tomorrow will bring challenges, negotiations, perhaps even lingering echoes of family betrayal. But tonight, in this quiet apartment, holding Noah and sharing a laugh with Michael, I understand the profound truth: resilience is stronger than fear, truth stronger than lies, and love stronger than anything else in the world. Morning sunlight streams through the apartment windows, golden and warm, painting our living room in a comforting glow. Noah is still curled up on the sofa, blanket tucked around him, a soft snore escaping his lips. Michael is at the kitchen counter, coffee in hand, scanning emails with that quiet intensity I've come to admire. I sit at the table, laptop open, reviewing Medcore's latest expansion proposals. The previous month has been a whirlwind, meetings, partnerships, and follow-ups sparked by that night at Grace's wedding. Daniel Brooks had been in contact regularly, and while our conversations remained strictly professional, there's a mutual respect building. I glance at the city skyline through the floor-to-ceiling windows and marvel at how far we've come, how far I've come. A soft buzz interrupts my thoughts. My phone lights up with a message from Daniel. Thank you again for your time yesterday. Medcore's systems are changing patient outcomes everywhere. I look forward to collaborating closely. I type a brief reply, the feeling is mutual. Let's keep improving care. Nothing more is needed. Professional, clear, decisive, just the way I like it. Noah stirs, rubbing his eyes, blinking in the sunlight. Mom, breakfast, he murmurs sleepily. Breakfast it is, little man, I reply, gathering him in my arms. Michael moves toward us, ready to take over the cooking, but I shake my head. I got this, I say, smiling. The three of us in the kitchen feels right, ordinary, steady, peaceful. No drama, no family pressures, no manipulation, just us. After breakfast, I check the mail. Among the usual bills and junk, a thick envelope catches my eye. It's from the Medicare Fraud Investigation Division. My pulse quickens as I open it carefully. The documents confirm what Daniel had shared. The Collins Family Clinic is under formal investigation. They've been reporting falsified procedures for over a decade. The paper feels heavy in my hands, but instead of anger, I feel resolve. Justice isn't about revenge, it's about accountability. I'll provide the facts, no more, no less. Michael comes to stand behind me, resting a hand on my shoulder. You ready for this? He asks quietly. I nod. Yes. And it's not personal. It's just right. Later that morning, the phone rings. It's Grace. I hesitate, then answer. Amber. Her voice falters. I didn't expect everything that happened. I listen quietly. There's no anger in my tone, no accusations. Grace, I say softly, you made choices. I made my life. We both get to live with the consequences. There's silence on the line. Then, almost like a whisper, I'm sorry. Take care of Daniel and yourself, I reply, and I mean it. That's all anyone can ask of anyone. I hang up, the words floating between closure and understanding. By afternoon, Noah and I are at the pool, splashing and laughing, his carefree energy filling the air. Michael watches us from the side, camera ready for a candid shot of our happiness. I watch my son dive and kick, and I realize that the life I fought to build, the family, the career, the freedom, is exactly what matters. The past exists, but it doesn't define me anymore. A week later, I sit in Medcore's boardroom with Daniel and his team. We finalize the details for expanding the patient monitoring system across 3 new hospitals. Daniel glances at me across the table, his expression a mixture of admiration and respect. Amber, he says, your work is exceptional. You've built something remarkable. I smile, a genuine smile. Thank you. But it's not about recognition. It's about patience, outcomes, and efficiency. That's what matters. As we wrap up, I glance at the framed photograph of Noah on my desk, a reminder of what drives me every day. Then at Michael, whose quiet strength has anchored me through everything. And finally at the city outside, full of possibilities, challenges, and hope. That evening, Michael and I walk hand in hand through our apartment, Noah asleep upstairs. We pause at the window, looking down at the streets below. I feel an extraordinary sense of peace. The Collins family may have tried to control my past, but they cannot dictate my present, or my future. I have reclaimed my narrative, on my terms. Michael squeezes my hand. We did it. You did it. I lean against him, letting the warmth of our life wash over me. We did it, I agree. Not just survived, but thrived. Not just escaped, but soared. Later that night, I journal quietly. The Collins Clinic's investigation, the wedding, the confrontations, they are all behind me. What remains is what I built, Medcore, my family, and a life anchored in truth. The past shaped me, yes, but it doesn't hold me. Freedom isn't about forgetting. It's about owning every piece of your story and walking forward without fear. And as I close the journal, the city lights flicker beyond the windows, a reminder that tomorrow is ours to shape. I step away from the desk, joining Michael in the living room, where we finally let ourselves sink into quiet laughter, contentment, and the profound joy of being whole. This is more than closure. It's victory. Not the kind measured in money or recognition, but the kind that comes from resilience, integrity, and love. The life I was denied. I built it anyway. And now, it's mine. Completely.